for the engines.
Okay, I think we're recording. I just set up a Teams meeting and we are good to go.
7:07, call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Eric Brown,
Kevin Church.
Kevin Cracken.
Nick, are you there?
I am. Nicholas Fowler?
What's up?
Jerry Drum, Albany Police. Chris Bell, Albany Fire.
Rochelle James.
Eric Anderson. All right, approval of April 3rd minutes. Everybody have copies of them? Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Point of discussion, if I may. I think that I saw that Chief Newton's name was spelled, instead of T-E-N, I think it's spelled T-O-N in the minutes, so I don't know if that's, I think, I'm not sure that okay, Correct.
It's also.
it is O-N. Oh, okay.
Oh, and yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking the other one down in South Lane, that's.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, withdrawn.
Up first, department reports, Police, okay. Hello, everybody. The last time I did this meeting, it was during COVID and we were all online, so, I do this in person.
We put a little frame on it.
Social distancing. Yeah. So crime rate in Albany is down a little bit by about 11%, overall. We are experiencing, if you look at our statistics, our aggravated assaults are a little bit up, in the, up into the 40%, range. But again, changes in those small numbers that we had before will result in those big percentages. So just keep that in mind. We are, of note, our sex crimes are up, from 18 last year to today up to 50.
Yeah.
And, just so you're aware, coming up soon, there's going to be a report coming out in USA Today about people versus predators. I don't know if you remember our article that did crash about that. Yeah, so that was a big spike. We did 26 arrests out of that organization coming into town. So that's a big reason for that spike in those numbers.
So it's an observational bias issue rather than, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And everything else is pretty normal as far as where we're at. And our overdose rate is we're on track for being right about where we're at, where we were at last year. We kind of slowed down a little bit. I think the big reason for that is just public education and putting a bunch of Narcan out there on the street. And if anybody has any questions about any of the out of the crime snapshot, let me know. Let's see, what else do we got? So yeah, crime rate, we're working on livability type things. We went into East Park today, actually, and did a full sweep, clearing out camps out of there. And I think they only encountered maybe 3 camps that were actually in there. One of them pretty entrenched. He's been there, that person's been there for all winter long, and we're making an effort to do our best to get that person out of there, out of that camp. They do cause quite a bit of problems down there, with trash and things. Let's see, staffing. We have about 4 police officer vacancies. That's a result of one person leaving and deciding they didn't going on to be a farmer. And the rest are just upcoming vacancies from retirements that we have coming up. And we have a few people in backgrounds. One of our CSOs decided to come over and be a police officer. So that's a big win for us. That'll be a good, easy transition. We have 3 dispatch vacancies. We just moved one to background yesterday, out of some interviews that we just did. So, Yes, sir.
I know I've asked this before, I'm sorry I don't know the answer, but how many total dispatch positions are there? We have
Oh, boy.
about
Are you looking on the spot?
10?
I think so.
Okay.
That's probably a good number.
Yeah.
Might be off by a couple on that,
Sure.
but.
Yeah.
Uh,
But so 3 vacancies is pretty significant.
it's significant, yeah, very significant. And it's just a result of, nothing other than people deciding they, want to do other things inside the department, so. They moved around a little bit.
Is that pretty frequent? I mean, you have a pretty high turnover in some of those
Yeah.
positions?
Yeah, I mean, I would want to do that job. It's very difficult. Yeah, it is. But it takes special people and then, so, our focus is really on hiring the right people so that we get them in there and get them trained and so we don't have them deciding after a year, oh, I can't handle this, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mhm.
So finding those good people, and that's difficult to do. We have a clerk vacancy and of course now a CSO vacancy for the guy moving. We promoted Buck Pierce, one of our patrol lieutenant, or he was our detective lieutenant. He's gonna be moving into a captain position July 1st when Brad Lyles retires. And so that moved up Brian Corbett to a lieutenant position, patrol lieutenant. And then Joe Clausen and Peter Teague are two of our brand new sergeants July 1st. Any questions?
So would you say that's sort of a normal level of turnover, or is that a lot of big moves, or what's the?
No, no, actually, about 3 or 4 years ago, we had a huge, the beginning of,
Retirement wave kind of thing?
yeah, because back in the 90s, when I got hired and when a lot of the people got hired, there was a big push, for the Clinton administration to hire a bunch of police officers, so a lot of those people have retired. I'm gonna be one of the holdouts from that. But it's not unusual for that to happen. And the downfall is just that we can't find people that want to be in law enforcement like we used to do. When I was starting out, I was testing with 2,000 to 3,000 people for 4 or 5 positions. And now, we're having
4 or 5 people for 2,000 positions.
yeah, it's really difficult and, we're starting to see, that trend is changing a little bit. We're getting more and more applicants, really good people actually. Yeah, so then I can't call it the national narrative, but really that's part of what it is.
What should the perception of,
It's shifting.
yeah, right.
Yeah. And so we're getting some really good quality candidates coming through the door.
Are you seeing many coming from other states that have gotten really just made somewhere in?
Yes, a couple. We got one from Georgia. And she saw our TikTok and I thought, decided I want to work with that agency. It helped that her family lives here too, so be close to her family, but a couple were getting trickles from out of state, but we get some in-state movement, some lateral folks from in-state that are interested in coming to us, which would be really big benefit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks for being willing to stay.
Yeah, Marcia's might be a good choice.
Good.
Yep, I did a report.
All right. So I'll start with the department report and then I just have a couple of quick updates and get you guys out the sunshine. So looking at the report here, total responses as we get ready to wrap up our fiscal year, pretty close to on par where we were in fiscal year 23, projected to finish 11,421 calls for this fiscal year. Pretty, let's say average months for March, April, May. June can be busy, but just kind of the last few days have been rather slow. We'll kind of see how we end up. Response times, no real big changes down there. That is something that we do track as we get busier and have more calls for service. We track that as well as something we call unit hour utilization. So looking at time that resources are actually on an emergency. And that's something we look at too. There's different data out there that shows where you get to a point where it's not sustainable and risk of burnout, those type of things. So we keep track of that as well. For the fire life safety evaluations, pretty much on par for this fiscal year as we were in 23. You can see in 21, and I think I spoke to this group when Sandy was here last time about, we took a pretty good hit in our life safety prevention division with budget cuts. And so we've been down a few DFMs, and so that has kind of hurt our ability to get out into some of those businesses and be at the level, inspection level that we probably should be, would like to be, especially as we see growth in the community.
And Chief, does this include like company inspections as well? Or is
We
it
don't,
just?
we don't do company inspections.
Okay,
Yep, our department, hasn't done that for several years.
okay,
I think we used to maybe the 80s, 90s, but we got away from that.
okay.
So
So it's your fire marshal and your education folks that are doing that?
it is really, not even our education folks. Sandy is pretty much exclusively risk reduction, working with schools, that type of stuff. And then this on the compliance side, it's our fire marshal and our senior deputy fire marshal.
Okay,
So really, pretty challenging for those two. And so that's a goal that I have coming into this position, is to try to get that division back up and going.
Are you seeing increased responses with the fall off of the inspections?
I can't say that we could draw a nexus to that, but I mean, that would be a great point of, but
It's usually long, takes 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
yeah,
We'll see it.
yeah, we'll get a bit later. Yeah, that's the different part, so. Community paramedic activity, pretty much right on par where we were last year as well. Hillary Kosmicki does an amazing job, and we have really seen, some reduction in calls because of the activity of the community paramedic and some of the people who we frequently go on that maybe just needed help with medications or get to a medical appointment somewhere. That has really helped out as well.
and is that just, I'm sorry, is that number for that, is that just runs or is that?
No, this is like, in-home visits, working with different facilities. So this is actually community paramedic, like hands-on evaluations and being involved in part of that process. So.
Yeah. And that's, and I'm sorry, the single role stuff, right, that you hired a bunch of folks on for that as well. That's a different,
Yep, that's emergency response.
okay,
Yep, the single role program. So that's our ambulance that's staffed out of this station. And then the community paramedic is non-emergency response for going out after the call has happened and follow up, closing the loop and that type of thing.
Yeah.
So.
and are they both sort of daytime hours or is one 24 hours and one is?
No, right now, the day car, the single roll, we work them from 7 in the morning until 7 at night. Our goal is to eventually get to a 24-hour car, but, right now it's just, we have the staffing just to do 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's had a huge impact, giving relief on some of the outlining stations as far as the ambulance response. And then it's also, it leaves our truck company available. And so we're really trying to keep the miles down on that and be good stewards of the money, because that's going to be an expensive replacement when it comes to hiring. So I'm really looking at creative ways to try to improve response and also take care of some expensive equipment. So
Yeah.
it's been a huge lift for internally too. I mean, I think the organization is extremely happy having that additional ambulance.
Yeah, so it sort of separates those functions a little bit more than you otherwise would.
And they handle all, if they're available, they handle all the interfacility transfers. So we try to keep our dual role folks in town if we do have a fire. So they handle transfers as well as like move ups if we go assist in Lebanon or Corvallis, just really trying to keep the firefighters in the district as much as we can. So it's a huge benefit.
So Chris, that actually came back on at the full 7 days. How long has that been going now?
So great question. It came on full time, I believe, January. So
So you're not really seeing the full benefit of that yet in the response times over.
not yet, no.
I imagine that will help if we don't see a big increase. You'll see that help with your overall response times.
Absolutely.
And sorry, one more question if I may, but just thinking back to what you were saying sort of about the CSOs and sort of hiring those folks on them as officers, do you see a similar sort of where that's a step for folks who want to become a dual role?
It is that, so it's good and bad because we've talked to other agencies, that have the single role program. It is really hard to recruit because folks they want to go dual role. It's a retirement, it's different, pays better.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks use this. It's great for us because we get to evaluate the employee and make sure they're gonna be a good fit for a dual.
Send us a trial service kind of thing.
But then as we have vacancies, we're continually pulling from that. And so, I'll talk about our staffing as well. And then it's a constantly trying to backfill those single role positions. And it's a real challenge just based on the number of paramedics that are out there right now.
Yeah, and there's a bottleneck there too, right? Just like there was for nurses when schools shut down for a while. And
Yes, and we've heard a lot of the community colleges are going to one paramedic class a year, so that'll be a challenge for us as well. And everybody's hiring, so, yeah.
Yeah, and sort of that's kind of what I was getting at. I guess it was both agencies, it's hard for folks to hire. We're not getting enough candidates in the gate to begin with. And so how do we either keep the folks that we have for a longer period of time or, change around what we're doing to be able to recruit?
Yeah, and we've never, well, we haven't really done hiring of laterals in the past, but that is something that we've looked at. And so we actually have 4 laterals in the academy right now. They should be done in the next couple of weeks. So we got them from smaller agencies, but that also hurts the smaller agencies, but then we lose to Salem and Clackamas and TVF&R. And so it's just tough. I mean, it's tough for all departments. Even the bigger agencies are struggling to get applicants, so.
Yeah.
I get some back from Salem, depending on the budget.
And then on the back, our usual top 25 responses, no real changes. I'm sure you've seen all the sick person fall, lift assist, breathing problem. Those are continually our most common calls. As we dry out, we'll start to see the small bark dust fires. We've actually had 2 fires, Simpson Park. I'm a little bit nervous about how that's going to play out with some of the houselessness and how dry it is. And, it's kind of a challenge to get back there. So we had to do a little bit of landscaping this last fire to make sure that we could get back there and kind of be ready as summer approaches. But the concurrent calls, as you can see, pretty gosh darn common that we have multiple calls going on at once, whether it be 2, 3, 4 calls happening all at the same time. So that can certainly stretch us there.
Is that a year-to-date chart? Like, is that?
Yes,
20
fiscal year
calls?
yes, yep. And then below, that's something that Chief Wood created, just kind of a snapshot there, kind of a heat map of our busiest time of day and days of the week. And you can see, from 9 to 8 o'clock at night, which is why we have that peak activity ambulance kind of working at those daytime hours. That's when our call volume is real significant. And then just a couple notes. So we're full on transition with Chief Wood. He kind of turned things over to me on Monday. So I'm basically functioning as fire chief. His retirement's on the 28th. And my first official day as fire chief is July 1, but we've kind of already, we're into that. So with that, it creates a whole, similar to PD, a whole lot of movement. So on July 1, I'm going to promote Kevin Mighty, who's a current battalion chief, to deputy chief. Ben Cooper, who's one of our current lieutenants, to battalion chief. And then Greg Sype, who's one of our apparatus operators, to the lieutenant. So exciting time for our department, lots of movements, but yeah, it's kind of a crazy moment in time with losing a lot of experience. I was like explaining to all these different groups, all the movements. I had to do a timeline of when people were leaving, because we also have Scott Cowan, our training chief, he's going to leave in November. So that'll be another promotion, as well as Ryan Bond, who's one of our longtime battalion chiefs. He'll retire February. So we'll have pretty much, as we get ready to go to the next budget biennium, that we'll have pretty much a whole new management team. So a lot of movements, a lot more promotions on the way.
Chris, was there another promotion between the last 2 public safety chiefs also?
Bert?
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. So Mark, Jamie Smith retired, and then Mark Burt was promoted to C-Ship battalion chief. Yeah, so it's, by the end of here to year, we're gonna have 3 new battalion chiefs in that office. So that's a crucial position in an organization. So that's why we did ask Ryan Bond to stay on a little bit longer. So And then, so right now, as I mentioned, we have, 4 firefighters in the lateral recruit academy. Hopefully, they're done by the end of the month and then assigned to shift. We have 6 firefighters and 2 single-role EMTs in various stages of the pre-employment process. And then hopefully we'll have a large recruit academy in August for all those folks. We're still, even with all those people and backgrounds, we still have 3 vacancies in the firefighter ranks and 1 empty spot, paramedic under single, that we've promoted them into the dual role positions as we discussed. And so we're really struggling. It's a continuous improvement and we're not getting any applications. It's tough. We got some new equipment on the way. Our new fire engine that we purchased with a grant is down at Hughes in Springfield, and we should take ownership of that middle of July. So that's exciting. And then we will be getting our tactical water tender from OSFM. We heard that they're starting to arrive, so we don't know what our timeline is, but it sounds like it could be really soon.
We're
So
trying to find parking spots in Salem. That's really the trick for me.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so excited to get that here, especially with summer fast approaching. And then the last thing I'll mention, we have a visit from the Oregon Health Authority who oversees all of EMS. So as far as licensing our ambulances, EMT certification, they're gonna be here on the 28th. They usually give folks a visit about every 5 to 7 years. They've already hit a few departments around us, so we kind of know what they're looking for, but similar to, you could compare it to maybe an OSHA investigation. They just come in to make sure that we're carrying all the right equipment, that people have all the proper training, up on the immunizations, all that type of stuff. So we're not worried about, but we want to make sure to put our best foot forward as well. So that's all I got, unless there's any questions. I feel like I rattled through that way, but
I would only comment, I hope Brian goes out quieter than he came in. You see.
yes.
I have a question I should know the answer to for both representatives, actually. I don't remember if we've talked about strategic plans for the agencies. Do agencies have their separate strategic plans, or does the city have one overall?
Yes and yes.
Yes.
So we are currently, each department has like an operational plan that we're calling, and then we are meeting with folks at City Hall and then figuring out how that implements into our new city strategic plan. So each department has something, and then it also references the city strategic plan, what the initiatives are.
And we have our own strategic plan within the department.
Yeah.
That really, I can't say that it mirrors the city one, but
Sure,
definitely would work in conjunction with it.
sure. And I would imagine that the city level plan probably talks a fair amount about budget or at least overall sort of city conditions. And then the agency ones would reflect individual goals of the agency, right? I'm just thinking about, I'm talking about all this, leadership transition and folks retiring and moving around and different stuff. And so it's nice to have a thing you can point to, right, that helps.
Exactly. And then I'm guessing probably the springtime that we would go to council and give updates on where we're at, what that looks like.
I think ours might be on the website already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So is that a new process then for the agency level stuff, or has it been around a while?
Strategic plan, we've been doing it now for probably, this will be our 3rd year.
Okay.
Put one out.
Cool.
Yeah,
It's updated annually then?
yeah, we do it annually. We're actually working on the new one right now.
Cool.
Getting ahead of it.
Yeah, great.
And just making sure that all our goals are still within aligning with where we want our agency to go for the future.
I'll make Brian's here and find it. That's great.
Yeah,
No, if it's not there, no big deal. That's fine. But if it is, then that's on me to do that research and figure it out. Because that's glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that. There's something to sort of refer back to and sort of keep everybody, course to set kind of thing. So
Absolutely. I think it's been doing stuff since 2000, when we first came out with. Probably not to the degree that it is now, but looking at things too, because a lot of that came, some of that, and I think police probably was about the same time, because that was one of the things that came out of Public Safety Commission early on. In the late 90s, early 2000s.
well, and organizationally, that's sort of a maturity thing that when organizations get to a point where they
And it was to help support the need. Because it was, you needed something to get the information out to the public, and that's kind of what's driven the reports and stuff.
Right.
So.
Yes, I have one last question. Can you explain to us, like, how's the substation within operating?
Well, I wish I had the usage. I see a lot of people there,
Oh, good.
a lot. Right now, we're in the middle of a transition, for our, for new body cams and, new car cameras. You know, with technology, it's always evolving and biggest thing is getting to make sure that those officers who go there are still gonna be able to download their videos and watch them and write the reports. So they're not having to come all the way back to South Albany or Southwest Albany to get that done. But I know they spend a lot of time there.
Good. That's just so convenient for you.
Yeah, oh man, is it ever?
Anybody have any other questions?
I just have one thing, open-ended, so sorry if it runs a little long, but, and I'm saying between us and me a week, but, what are you looking for? What are you concerned about for the summer? Anything that's different in the wintertime? I mean, operational issues, obviously, you talked about the fires in the park and so that sort of thing, but are there other things about the organization that are going to present challenges as you go through the next quarter? It's not trying to put anybody on the spot.
No, it's actually
curious.
So staffing, we're down a little bit of staffing and, of course, July 4th is falling on a River Rhythms night. And so, we have, Juneteenth is coming back Albany this year. And we have the Pride event. So we have a lot of summer events that we're really got a lot, and trying to get those staffed is one of our biggest challenges.
I'd say for us, with all these vacancies, we've had some mandatory holds because we're kind of bound by minimum staffing. And so that's my concern coming into the summer is, when more people take vacations, it's going to be tough and try to keep some hold on all that. And it'll be good to get just those more laterals out to shift. But with the next group that's coming in, that's a 16-week academy. So best case scenario, they're probably out on the street in November. So we got some time before we really see some relief. And so that's a concern is, and then we also have all these events that we also extra EMS staffing, with the fireworks, we'll have an engine company to brush rig out there. So not only our normal busy summer days, but then making sure that we have a presence at these other events is going to be a real challenge for us.
Either you guys talk a little bit about the events that happen in Albany, the special events. I know there's been some discussion in the past about some of these events are getting so big that they're actually costing the city money. That there's out there. I'm just curious what events kind of meet that threshold where it's.
Well, for us, we did a lot of discussion into this, at what point do we ask an organization that's doing this to help us out with overtime? Because in reality, we have minimum staffing standards as well that we can't deviate from. So it's bring those people in on overtime and, talking about budget, the city budget is, we're maintaining, but we're not looking at any huge increases either. So there's a lot of discussion about how do we do that and be fair. And I was on the fringe edges of the new permitting process that was developed. So I don't want to speak into it and be wrong. But it came down to, we have to be fair across the board. And so really we're not going to say no because somebody can't afford it, but certainly it's going to be a discussion point for every event. Like, what can you afford?
Yeah, well, I know it's a lot of the events, I don't have a problem with myself because I can, if it's a free event, a public comes in, but when they're making money off of it, and they're using our services to make money, I mean, that kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's beyond just having extra fire or EMS there or police officers there. It's the cost for Public Works to load up all the barriers, bring them out, and then the fire department come out, fill up the water barriers. Cause in today's, society, by not, we're putting our people at risk by not putting barriers up. Somebody in a mental health crisis can come drive through and, cause issues. So there's all those costs associated with that we don't think about sometimes.
It'd be interesting to see numbers on some of them too, because I would speculate the biggest events are probably still the River Rhythms concerts, the nothing, not Pride, not the.
Yeah,
the
that's
concerts,
what
festivals,
they
like that.
bring is a big one too.
Oh, that's true, yeah, that's right, yeah, so something like that, which are, yeah.
Art and Air's, Art and Air is, it's big, spread out,
But parking spots pretty big.
But you're right, it does take a few people
Yeah,
to man those.
so.
Thank you.
Anything else? Just around?
No, I think I've asked you. I'm the kid in class with his hand up. I haven't seen it. That's just how it is,
Really?
right? Now, we can't see Nick's hand, so I don't know if his is up or not.
Nick, any questions?
No, I'm good. All right, thanks.
We have any other business from the members?
Do we, I don't know if we have another, guest speaker scheduled for the August meeting, but I'd be interested in hearing from, I guess, other units or other functions that we do. We talked about it in here that be nice to hear from. The social worker, I believe, that works for the police department was discussed at one time.
Okay,
It'd be great to hear her, the community paramedic. I'd be interested, I don't know,
Absolutely.
feel,
yeah.
but have them come do a show and tell. I don't know if that's an official request from a member or not, but
Sounds
just
good.
throwing it out there for discussion.
This needs to alternate, so we'll be starting the back here. Is that how it works? Hopefully.
Yeah.
Unless there's something going on. Okay.
Nobody else has it.
Was there a meeting?
All right, going on with the weather.
Yep.
We can meet 53 in 5 minutes.
I really hope this worked.
You,
Thank you.
What was that?
yeah, is that-
I hope this worked. It says it's recorded.
I hope so too.
Yes.
I'm seriously trying to take notes just in case, but.
I'm thinking.
It's all-
You,
He was. You're probably the one.